This is Showtime, a podcast about the people behind the curtain and the stories that shape them. I'm Andrew G, and each week I sit down with creatives, leaders and risk takers from the theatre world and beyond. We talk about what they do, why they do it, and what it really takes to keep showing up. Today, I'm joined by three brilliant performers, bringing heart, humour and high energy to Legally Blonde. Georgina Scott, Vanessa and Taya Patterson-Fay are Serena, Pilar and Margot, the unforgettable Delta Nu trio. With backgrounds as bold as their characters, these three prove that there is absolutely no single path to the stage. There's passion, presence, and a serious determination and persistence. Welcome to Showtime, Georgina, Vanessa, and Taya.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you. It's great to be here.
How does it feel bringing these iconic Delta Nu characters to life?
Super fun. It's
It's like a dream come true, really. I feel like Legally Blonde is a dream show for most.
Absolutely. I feel like it's definitely on everyone's
Yeah.
list.
And the Delta News, like specifically the PMS girls, us three, we're like a really fun role because we are sort of around for the entirety of the show. We pop in and out for all the fun dance numbers. We get like an awesome, really hilarious, fun dance track that is like strong between the three of us.
Yeah.
So it's like such a joy to perform.
Definitely. And it's interesting because we're like a continual element through the show. Yeah. Like, and we contrast a lot, like when Elle's at Harvard and often when she's going through a harder time, we're there to like bring up the energy as well. Yeah. So it's really fun playing with that contrast and always having that high energy no matter like what's happened before.
Exactly. It's such a fun, we don't really go through the same trials and tribulations that like Elle goes through. So we just have fun the whole time.
Yeah,
which is like fab.
the joy and the love.
Yeah.
And it's nice to just be in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a fun show as well to do because there is such a lot of like source material and like history behind it. And so many people have done it. Like when we first came into the rehearsal room, I think probably half the cast have done the show before. Like a lot of people have done it before and a lot of people have seen it. And if they haven't seen it live, they've seen it on like video. Yeah. So it is interesting as well having so much inspiration behind it, but also trying to develop like
trying to make it your own
characters.
Yeah.
And it's been fun playing around with each other to figure out our dynamics within the trio and how we're going to do each character.
Yeah, 100%.
And there's a lot of similarity with the movie, but it's also quite different, the stage musical, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Well, when I tell people who I'm playing and they've only seen the movie, they're always like, really know who because there's that like, you know, that stage device of like us being the Greek chorus and kind of the angel on the shoulder. So there are those differences where characters come through, and also of course the songs, a lot is said through song instead of through the scenes, which I think adds like a major point of difference in some of like the plot and the character developments.
Yeah, definitely. I know when we did the read through like for the first cast, we were like, because we didn't do the songs that time, we just did the script, and we're like, we are in the songs. Like most of what we do is singing and dancing. So it is very like interesting as well having that. Because in the movie, there's no singing, there's no dancing, and having the strength to have that character development through just the songs as well as the presence in the scenes.
I think it's also like cool because a lot of the humor comes through the songs, which is different to the movie. A lot of the movie is like that old-timey slapstick American comedy, whereas this is like a bit more fleshed out because it lasts throughout an entire song. The like humor. Yeah.
So what is it you each love so much about your characters?
Wants to go first? There's so much to love.
I know.
My character is the head of the UCLA cheerleaders, and I love her. She's very fiery and strong. She has her group of cheerleaders that she commands and demands attention from. If you know, you know. And I love that she's very strong and very passionate, but her, style of like leadership is through like a lot of humor and making people laugh. And like there are moments with the sorority girls as well where she sort of takes on that natural leadership role underneath Elle. And I think it's nice to explore that in like a fun way and not falling into the, like evil, mean girl kind of sorority girl that I think is in a lot of media. She's like nice and fun and she has a little bit of banter with the girls. where she can maybe be a little more mean, but I think at her heart she's got a heart of gold, and yeah, she just wants to have fun. So I think that's really fun, and I think it's quite similar to me. Yeah, I feel like in my like roles in life where I'm a leader, I try like lead with humor and smiles. So yeah, we're similar.
Oh, I kind of just love everything about Margot. Like she's so much fun, and I love her like ditziness, and she kind of doesn't really have, like a lot of the time she doesn't really know truly what's going on, but she's like so there for it. Like she will just support everything and everyone around her. Like the whole Harvard thing, she's kind of like, what's happening? Like, what is law? No idea. But she is so supportive of everyone around her. Like she just has that great attitude. She's like, yes, I don't know what's happening, but I will be there and I will support you through it. Like love everybody. And yeah, I think as well she honestly is quite similar to me in a way. Like she has the little bit of like humor, and I try to be like, I think I'm supportive.
You're supportive, girl. Don't worry about it. You're supportive.
The ditziness as well, I guess. But yeah, she's so much fun to portray. And honestly, my past roles, I'm always like the nice girl, or like the bit of like the ingenue, like love interest, kind of sweeter, more quiet, timid. And it is so much fun being Margot because it's a different part of my personality that I get to bring on stage, and you just get to have so much fun with her.
I'm loving that there's so much freedom to bring ourselves to these characters, and like Georgina was saying, like we're not mean girls. We get to bring like this really pure joy and like a lot of love and support to each other, and like it's a really nice sorority vibe. You know, it's not like I love getting to play this like, you know, bubbly, happy, spunky, yet strong and cheerful character, but like without the meanness, you know, which is typically associated with that sort of character.
Yeah. And I think like especially in our version and with like Amy, our director's interpretation, there are like some edgier moments. I mean, it's from the early 2000s, so there are some things that like today may be a little questionable, but I think that the way we're tackling those with class is to, you know, come at it from a more like banter and like just joking around with the girls, which is like what girls do when they're in these big groups and like these really strong friend groups. So I like that we've gone down that route rather than, you know, gone down the mean girl route, because they're not mean. They're so supportive.
Underlying is just love for each other. And
100%.
like supporting, you know, building each other up.
And it's fun finding like obviously with sorority girls, they're such like a known figure, and finding the similarities in the characteristics. And so we're still recognizable as sorority girls, but not falling into the negative tropes that are associated with sorority girls.
And how have you created that chemistry? Because the three of you obviously get along really well, but you also work together a lot. And there's this real sort of chemistry between you that you bring into your roles, but also happens just in the rehearsal studio when you're not performing. How has that been, sort of creating that in such a short space of time?
Yeah, the camaraderie. I think we're lucky it happens like quite naturally, especially because at the beginning we really, what's the word I'm looking for? We went through all those dance numbers really fast. And I think also having done that means that in breaks and rehearsals, we're like, what? Let's quickly go over that bit. Where do I stand? What is that section? And because us three work together so closely in a lot of those, I think it helps, because generally my port of call is you two, because I'm either your opposite or I'm next to you, or we're kind of doing our own thing. And me and Taya tram together sometimes.
It's funny because we connected like after the initial callback. Like we got on the tram and we were like,
together.
oh my gosh, hi. We had a chat. Yeah. And then since then, like it was just easy to build that sort of bond. I think as well because no one in the cast really knows each other. Like it's not like a group that's done it all before together. Yeah, there is such an openness to everyone. Yeah. Like everyone is open, they're organising stuff together, like we're all getting to know each other. And it is, it's creating such a nice environment. Like everyone talks to everyone.
I didn't even think about that actually.
Yeah.
That's so true. There's not really like a clique of people that have done shows with this.
Yeah, everyone's been really welcoming. For me coming into it, I was like, okay, these two are my besties. That's just
That's the way it's
that's
going to
it.
be.
Yeah, you guys are my besties now.
Yeah.
So true.
And it's funny, like this work that we do in the rehearsal room just like immediately correlates to our social. Like, because when we're doing a number, we're having so much fun with each other and we're playing around, and then we like finish the number and we just carry the same vibe into the conversation afterwards. Yeah, through the characters, I think, because they also show characteristics of ourselves. Like our personalities are shown within our characters, which...
Yeah, they couldn't have matched us three up better with the characters.
Exactly.
So our like vibe in real life is similar to the vibe of the PBS girls. Yeah,
And it like immediately opened us up because we had to show our personalities through the characters that we had, we showed our real personalities to each other, and that allowed the openness to just have a little bond.
But you've also trained differently, each one of you, and you've got very different backgrounds. What's one technique or a habit that's stuck with you in developing your characters?
I think probably my biggest one is like I always build a character through interactions with other characters. Like that is one of my main, like I build my framework of my character and I do my dramaturgy. And then when I get into the room, even when we're just dancing next to each other, I love building connections. I'm like, why am I standing next to this person? Like what's making me interact with them? What's their reaction to what I'm doing? Like how am I reacting to what they're doing? Yeah, I think that really helps it.
Yeah, I'm still working on playing around with like the backstories. So imagine like different backstories for each person when I'm standing around. So it's just like a slow thing that I'm developing. Just like, wonder, what's our history here? Just to kind of have a bit more of a richness to the story.
I think it's about also like not rushing the process and just allowing yourself time to find the character and allowing yourself time to play and like try new things. I feel like once you know what the character wants in a scene, where they've just been, where they're going, and what do they want. Once you've sort of got that shaped and feeling like it's going to really give you some good material to work from or to work through, then you start playing around with choices. And I think also the choreography really informs that as well, because maybe at the end of the scene you're going to go into this choreo, so like what are you going to do to really make that choreo make sense for you? And then I think as well for the blocking, like who you're talking to and where you're moving, and are you going to move to this side and what's bringing you there? So I think just allowing yourself time to play and doing the work behind the scenes at home, like dramaturgy and like finding your objectives and figuring out backstories and stuff. And then when you get into the room, just knowing you've done it, knowing the work is there and just letting it go and just having fun and playing, like trusting yourself and trusting the people you're around that they've done the work also. And then just like that's where the magic happens, I think.
Definitely having the starting platform to build off of. And I think it's been fun as well through the rehearsal process, going back to the work I originally did, because I always do like my script work and I figure out my intentions and my like interactions with the characters. And as I'm getting to know the other characters better, it's been interesting going back to my initial work and I'm like, oh, that's not how I originally saw it. But now that I have a deeper understanding of the characters and relationships,
100%.
I can play with it more.
Yeah, it's all about listening. You can't come into the room with something concrete, something planned you're going to do, because then if you deliver a line to me in a certain way and I just regurgitate the same way I've done, like I'm not listening to you or reacting. So it's really important to, keep it free and open for
definitely
changes and reacting off each other, listening and reacting.
But also trusting each other is something that I'm hearing from each of you. What does sisterhood mean to you in the context of this show?
I think it means just having this trust that you can count on each other no matter what, and lean on each other and just know that someone's going to be there to support you and like give you a hug and encourage you and lift you up.
I think it really evolves in the show also.
Definitely.
I think at the beginning of the show, the sisterhood is really all about that loud and like, oh my God, similar kind of camaraderie and that like high energy. And then through the show, there's moments where Elle is sort of like, especially to us and the sorority girls, like, no, actually, I don't think that what you're saying is right. I'm thinking like positive kind of vibes.
Yeah.
And we are kind of like, you know, she offers an idea of how she's going to go forward with this issue she's having, trying not to give too much away, even though it's like a cult classic, but anyways. And we're kind of like, really? Are you sure about that? And then we're like, okay, well, if you're sure, we're here for you. And like, you know what's best for you. And maybe we don't agree right now, but we've voiced that potentially we don't agree. We've given you other options and this is what you've decided. So here we go. We're going to do this. And then I think also the same for like Vivian from the beginning of the show to the end of the show, she really changes and her sisterhood is a lot different to how our sisterhood looks. Yeah. She is really like paving the path for Elle and really helping her and supporting her and being a strong voice. And we are strong voices for her in another way. So I think it evolves and shows how like multifaceted female relationships can be and how that idea of sisterhood can look different between different relationships. But it's all about lifting each other up.
Yeah, and I think it definitely emphasizes the need for individuality in sisterhood. Like the emphasis on everyone needs to be their own individual and you might not agree with everything or you might have different strategies, but the need to support each other through that. Like it doesn't matter if you totally agree with it or you totally understand why someone's doing something, but sisterhood is encouraging them to do that and do whatever path they want to go on.
Has being the trio in Legally Blonde changed your view on friendship and solidarity at all?
I wouldn't say so. I think it's just enforced it really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm really lucky to have some really strong friendships with women in my life. And so, I do think that it's just enforced.
Yeah. I think as well, like a bit like with our culture and stuff now, how it is, there's a lot of judgment like ingrained in us, like through like judgment on social media and just of everything. Like everyone judges what everyone else does. Like I hate to be the one that says it, but it is ingrained into us as people. And I think it's emphasized the need to be aware of that. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of people aren't aware of it because it's such like a given. And even like I think, it definitely emphasizes the awareness around that judgment and you can be supportive and not agree with someone. Like I know sometimes with my friends, if I don't think they're doing the right thing, like I kind of don't, I support them through it, but not as enthusiastically, if that makes sense. Yeah, sure. Like, and sometimes, because definitely in Elle's story, there is potential for it to go really wrong. Yeah. And as the sorority girls, I think we would definitely be scared of encouraging Elle to go down a path that may hurt her. Yeah. But I think it's like emphasizes that that's one of the tropes of life. Mm-hmm. People are going to make decisions that might not end in the most positive way, but part of like that friendship and sisterhood is encouraging them even though it may go wrong, like encouraging the risk and be supportive of the risk.
Legally Blonde was a movie released in 2001 and then hit Broadway as a musical in 2007. Now it's 2025. What do you think it is that makes Legally Blonde or this version of Legally Blonde still feel fresh and empowering?
Well, first of all, I just think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
And I think that the movie has stood the test of time. Mm-hmm. The musical has stood the test of time. And there's a reason for that. I think it's also so accessible. It's a really, relatively simple plot to follow. Yeah. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It's pretty self-aware with the jokes. It knows that we're sorority girls and it plays on that in a fun way. And it knows that Elle is this, ditzy blonde, and it follows that same course. She's following this boy. She's kind of uprooting her life for this guy and she's going to move across. And then it sort of defies, especially in the early 2000s, defies that whole idea of like that Grease, idea of like, I'm going to change myself, everything about myself for this guy. And then finally he's going to love me and want me. And she totally turns that on her head. Yeah. And she stays true to herself the entire time and, still ends up finishing up at law living her bestest life. So I think that is really important and is one of the reasons why it's so important, because it stays in that early 2000s genre that we all know and love, and like that comfort film and like really fun and girls' night and whatever. But it sort of has that little edge where it's like, yeah, this is a feel-good movie and it feels good because she is staying true to herself. I think that's why it has stood the test of time, really, because it's aged well. It's aged gracefully, you know what I mean?
Like, unfortunately, the stereotypes in it are still some that are held today, which is
100%.
why it's still a relevant story, because it shows tropes that people still go on today. But yeah, like in such a enlightening way, because it turns around at the end, that people can relate to it, and through like the different like structures in society, it shows that inspiration. Like, it's an inspiring story that you can go against stereotypes, and it can also be taken out of context and just shows the story of defying the odds. Like, it just really shows that anyone can defy the odds.
Yeah, and find your empowerment.
Yeah, and like be yourself. That's like one of the big things is be true to who you are. If you know, you know. Being true to
and
who
it works
you
out
are.
so much
yeah,
better.
Exactly.
I think also the mean girl, Vivian, is like also a multifaceted character. Like Elle is so fleshed out and she has such a huge character arc and transformation. And the mean girl does also, which is like so nice, because sometimes the mean girls are just mean for the sake of it. And like, it's not always like that in real life. So it's nice that she kind of has her, you know, her character arc and a little bit of understanding of why she is the way she is, and she has that growth, which I think is also really important and something that maybe isn't as often explored.
As you've all said, Legally Blonde is packed full of colour and comedy, but I think underneath it's proving your self-worth, and especially in a context that isn't always welcoming. Have you ever felt underestimated, and how did you react to that?
I think my biggest critic is myself, really, and so that's the hardest obstacle to overcome is talking to myself differently. You know, I think that's the way that we would talk to each other. You know, you would never speak to your friend the way you speak to yourself, and judge yourself, and you know, feel like, no, that's not good enough. Oh no, you're not good enough to do that, and like, you know, that fear of not being good enough or not doing it or not succeeding can hinder you more than anything else in the whole world. And it's just that, keeping that in check and do it even though it's scary.
That's such a fab answer.
Yeah.
This is so true. Yeah, definitely no one stands in my way more than myself.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm my biggest critic.
And you know what? Like, there probably have been times in my life where people have thought or, you know, expected the worst or didn't think I was good enough or whatever it may be. But I can't really, I mean, maybe I'm just really lucky and I've managed to brush those moments off. But I couldn't pinpoint like one specific time.
Yeah, no.
You know, there are a few maybe back in the day, but the ones that come to mind are the times where I've like undervalued myself or, you know, almost said no instead of letting the casting directors say no, or things like that, where it's like, that it's so true. There's no one is your biggest enemy or biggest critic than yourself. Yeah.
Exactly. And as part of the industry, like you audition and you're not always going to get it, like, obviously. And I think I've been finding that the biggest critic in that situation is myself. Like, it's not I'm criticizing myself because that's happened. That's not in my control. Like, it's all, it's about understanding that you don't always have power in situations, and people are often a lot more encouraging and have like high expectations for yourself than you do. Like, constantly I think that I'm going to do something wrong or I'm worse than I am, and other people have to be like, no. Like, no, why would you ever think that? Like, even talking to like past teachers and stuff where I've been like, oh, like, I'm sorry, like, I'm not doing it well enough. And they're like, what are you talking about? Like, you're fine. You just need to trust yourself.
Yeah, give yourself a break.
Yeah. And one of the biggest parts for me is trusting in myself. In this process, especially in every process, every rehearsal, I can't criticize myself just in case someone else might. Like 100%. I find myself doing that a lot where I'll put myself down so someone else doesn't do it. If I've done it first, then it won't hurt as bad if someone else does it.
Yeah, so true.
But a lot of the time they're not going to do that because they're not criticizing me as much as I am.
I think also in moments where people have, you know, I'm thinking like that classic evil dance teacher or music teacher or whoever everyone has one, you know. But I think it's also about like how you cope and how you deal and how you really take those words or those actions or whatever they've done and how you internalize that. Are you going to really sit with that and think about why would they have said that? What does it mean? Do I actually like them? Do I actually like their work? Do I actually think that their work is worth, you know, this feedback I'm getting that is maybe really negative and like unhelpful and unnecessary? Do I agree? Do I agree with their work? So I think, like taking it from removing someone else's power and giving the power back to yourself to be able to like flesh out these moments and just decide, you know, actually I'm good. I'm not going to take on that feedback. I don't need that negativity.
And also changing the perspective of it, like depending on who's giving you the criticism, like criticism is a chance for growth. 100%. Like it's feedback. It's a way to improve yourself or to improve your craft.
Yeah, it's like if you appreciate that person, it's like, well, I'm not going to take this as a negative that I'm awful. I'm going to take this as like, you like me enough. You're going to give me this feedback because you believe in me and you want me to grow, and that's such a great mindset change.
Like in getting notes on numbers and stuff.
Yeah, like what a privilege.
Yeah,
what you want to teach me.
I'd rather get a criticism or a note to work on than like a good job.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Sometimes if I'm like,
Same.
it's good job, I'll be there and I'm like,
I'm like, give it to me.
like,
I can take it.
Yeah.
It makes me work harder.
It's literally like, tell me what I need to do better, please. I'll improve. I love a bit of criticism in a constructive way.
I teach a competitive dance team and very grateful for the girls I teach because they're fabulous. And I think it's like interesting being on the other side of the table, I guess, because it is a big thing of I've got this feedback I want to give you and how am I going to deliver it so that I can be honest and helpful but also not be evil and not make you sit up at night staring at the ceiling thinking about what I've said, you know. So it's interesting being from the other side, and if any of them are watching, I hope that they've done that. I think I'm quite nice. But it's definitely interesting from the other side of the table, and sometimes you just have to say what.
If someone in the audience watching Legally Blonde is quietly doubting themselves or their path, what do you hope your performance will help them realise?
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone's path is different. Like you can get to anywhere you want to get. It's just how you get there. Like you can, if you get shut down one way or you don't make the next step in that way, find another way to make it. Like find another path. I never thought I'd be living in Melbourne. Like 6 months ago, if you asked me where I'd be right now, couldn't tell you. But I'm here like making my own path, and you can do whatever you want as long as you persevere through it and have the resilience. Like if you get knocked down, get back up and find another way to get there or try again.
Yeah, I think the key word, like what Georgina said, was work hard.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want it, you can get it. You just got to work for it.
And it's about those gritty moments. Like everyone has those really gritty, like, sorry if I swear, shitty moments that just you feel terrible. Like you're like, oh, this is terrible. I'm not going to do it. But everyone has it. And it's about changing your perspective on that and getting back up and finding a new way to do it. Yeah. And I think that's really clear through Elle's path. Yeah. Like she does not go the usual way that you'd expect someone to go through it.
Fashion merchandiser turned lawyer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think if it were easy, everyone would do it.
Exactly.
I think like for our industry, 100%. But for any industry really, like if you're struggling with something, you just got to think if it were easy, everyone would be doing it. Yeah. And it's not easy, it's hard, and not everyone is doing it, and that's why it's so difficult. And I'm going to lock in, work hard, and find different routes, I think. And Elle is like the definition of that. So you go, girl.
She's so great. She's just like, oh, that didn't work. How else am I going to get there?
And I think also having a good support system.
Yeah.
If you're if you're not supported and you're not surrounded by, also if you're not surrounded by people that are also working hard, it's easy for you to like drop off. And I mean, you don't really see us in school and the show, but the PMSs work hard. I'm a UCLA cheerleader. Come on. So I think you got to, you know, surround yourself. So you got to surround yourself with people that are working hard and are going to uplift you, which Elle does through Emma and the PMSs and Paulette and all these things. And then you got to do the work. And she does that. So I feel like it's true. That's how it happens.
Exactly, yeah.
In the words of Jason Coleman, turn up, work hard, have fun.
Okay, Jason Coleman. Yeah.
That's been my motto this year.
Fab. Yeah.
Legally Blonde is playing at the National Theatre in St Kilda for a limited season from the 12th to the 27th of July. For tickets and more info, visit booktickets.com.au. Thank you so much for coming in, and obviously can't wait to see Legally Blonde in a few weeks' time.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. So much fun.